So firstly, just a welcome to learning how to set up QR code contact tracing. Thanks for being here. My name is Michael. I work as part of the Mondo team. And this webinar we put together because in particular in Melbourne, we are hopefully going to be reopening, Melbourne and Victoria, reopening again to in-venue dining and seating. And we know everybody's managing their way through COVID. And contact tracing is one of those new requirements that people have to deal with and manage. And we see a lot of people still out there with paper and pencil. So we really want to help people ditch that. By the end of the webinar, you're going to get a really actionable plan for either setting up your QR codes, or if you follow along, you'll probably be able to set up your own system for your own venue by the time this session is over. You'll see on the slide here, there's a registration page, mondocheckin.com/registration. If you're on the computer and you can go there now, because we will be walking you through how to set that up as we go, and it will only take a matter of minutes. So there's three things we're going to take you through today. The QR code and how to set it up for your venue, how your customers will use it, and what your staff need to do. And it's really quite straightforward. Karun is the CEO of Mondo Connects. Karun, I'm going to hand over to you to give us a bit of a summary of what Mondo Connects is, just maybe 2 minutes on who we are, and then take us through the demo. Before I do that, if anyone's got questions, there is a chat function. Please, at any point, ask a question in the chat and we'll do our best to answer it. If we don't answer it through the presentation, we can certainly answer it at the end. Thank you, Karun, over to you.
Thanks, Michael, and welcome everyone. Yeah, look, as Michael was saying, this is going to be hopefully a fairly quick webinar just to take you through how to use the QR code and to set up the QR code for contact tracing. A little bit about Mondo and us. So prior to COVID, we primarily service large companies within Australia. Think airports, shopping centres, stadiums, generally everywhere where people gather in public. So no surprises when COVID hit, we got smashed pretty hard. But the companies that we do work for, we supply data and tech services to them. They came to us and they said, okay, you know, we're an airport, we're obviously not going to close down completely. We need to manage reopening. What we need help with from a tech and data perspective is how do we manage that reopening? How do we open with making sure that, you know, we're compliant with the government regulations? How do we open all our food and beverage venues? And how do we manage the flow of people? And so we put together an online ordering management process, and that included using the QR code in terms of how people access that order management and how people moved around the venue. And as we were building that, the government came out and said, okay, now we're going to introduce contact tracing. And when they told venues that they were going to have to implement contact tracing, there was very little guidance around how it was going to be. And there was a fair bit of, I'm going to use the word anxiety, but there was people in the industries going, okay, well, how do we actually do this? What does contact tracing actually mean? Am I going to have a staff member sit outside with a pen and paper collecting guest details? Am I going to have to hand that pen and paper around? How do I store data securely? How is this even going to work? And so we thought, you know what, we're already setting up the QR code part of that as part of our menu management. Why don't we just rip it out? We have a whole heap of server capacity because we had millions and millions of data points previously in these public spaces that weren't being used. And we thought, okay, we can handle that, and we'll set up this QR contact tracing platform for people. We rolled that out. Victoria went into lockdown 2.0, but the rest of Australia continued to use it. And we've had over 1 million people check in with this product. And we've had over 1,000 venues sign up with it. We thought honestly that this was going to be in the market for about 1 month, 2 months. Here we are 5 months later, and I think we're still going to be in the market probably in 6 to 12 months. So it is very much more robust. It has all our security standards implemented to it. What I'll do now though is I'll take you through, I'll share my screen, and I'll actually walk you through how to set up contact tracing or the QR code contact tracing service in the platform. I'll take you through how you can print out your QR codes and how we've made it easy to just print signage. I'll take you through a little bit about what other venues in other states are doing. And I'll take you through the customer experience as well, so you can see what it's going to look like for your customers. And in the unfortunate or unlikely event that you will need to use it for contact tracing, I'll also show you how that works. And this has been validated. I'll just pause here and just go, this has been validated by the government as well. So the OAIC, which is the Office of Information Commissioner, has been in contact with us to make sure that we comply with all the anti-spam laws and the privacy laws within Australia, and to make sure that this is being used for the right purposes. As Michael was saying, if you have any questions, feel free to raise them in the chat, and he'll let me know about them. We can come back to them later on. I'm just going to share my screen now. So you should all be able to see the MondoCheckIn.com registration page. If you can follow along with me now, feel free to follow along, or feel free to do it at your leisure after this. We'll send people through a recording. Very brief bit about check-in in terms of why. As I was saying before, and as Michael was saying, this is a free product. There are 0 strings attached to this. Some people have asked us, how is that possible? What are you doing? You know, there's always got to be something in it for you. As I was saying, this is part of a bigger, broader product, Mondo Menu. We carved it out of that. If you guys are interested in the Mondo menus, you can look at it, but this part is 100% free, no strings attached. You can sign up for free. I'm just going to quickly type in some details here. And this tech has been used by governments. Airports use it. The police have actually registered to use it. That is essentially it. Now, before I actually register, I just want to draw your attention to the terms and conditions. Nobody reads terms and conditions. I appreciate that, which is why we've kept this incredibly small. Essentially, what this is saying is that this is primarily designed to meet your government regulations around contact tracing. And that is the only purpose that you are allowed to use this product in its base form for. And you need to make sure that you comply with that. This is not for marketing. This is purely to capture contact details for contact tracing purposes. That's what these terms say. Once I've agreed to them, I'm registering. And that's essentially it. I've now registered, I've set up my account. I will have an email that will have my login details that I can refer to if I need to. But in here, you can just add your venue. So I'm gonna put in a venue here. I've always wanted to run a cafe. I'll upload my logo. We've had lots of people upload various different images in this section. This is for your logo, your cafe logo, your restaurant logo, your bar logo, whatever it is. Don't put your QR code in here. We've seen that. And then in terms of the venue address, obviously the venue address, this is all just linked to Google. So it will pull your address back from Google. And that's it. You've created your venue and you're good to go. So that's all the steps it is to actually register and set up your venue. Then you need to actually download your QR code and place your QR code in different regions. There's 2 options for your QR code. If you click the show QR code, you've got your QR code here. I can then download it and it will download into an actual QR code image. And you can take that image and you can create your own signage and you can place that in any sign. You can print it out, you can laminate it, whatever you like. We did get some feedback saying, can you actually create some signage for us? So we did. And we've created some basic signage that ends up in a Word document. So if you download signage by clicking on the signage button here, you will download some signage. I'm just going to open up Word now and share my Word screen with you. So hopefully you guys can all see that. And here's some signage that will automatically be created. You can just cut that in half and laminate it. We've seen lots of different ways that our customers are using this. Some people are putting it at the front of their venues, just laminating it, sticking it in a sign in front of their venues. Some customers are putting a smaller version of this, just the QR code on each table. Some customers actually take the QR code and put it on their paper menus, on the corner of their paper menus, and say, please scan this to register. It really is up to you, wherever is the most appropriate place for you guys to put that there. If I then go back to my portal, what I then need to do is actually show you the customer experience. So if you scan on that, if you've got your phone out right now and you just open up your camera and you held it against that QR code, not actually taking a picture, but just holding it there, a little URL will come up. If you tap on that, you'll get your registration page. This is what your registration page will look like. And this is what it will look like for your customers. I'll just make it look like a mobile phone here. So that's essentially it. Now, if your customer has been to your venue previously, then their contact details will be pre-filled. So they only really need to do this once. And then the next time they come back, the details will be pre-filled here. Another bit of feedback that we've had from other venues is that, can we allow multiple people to be entered in on the same device? So yes, we can. So if people are traveling in a group, 2, 3, 4, you can add another person, or the primary person can add another name, and the whole party can log in from one person's phone. Whatever works and whatever's easier. They don't have to do that. We have had some people who are reluctant to use the QR code, or they don't actually know how to use the QR code. For whatever reason, it doesn't work on their device. That is a very small amount of people. In that event, if they're not in a party and someone else can't check them in, then your front of house staff can actually scan the QR code themselves and enter in their customers' details. So this can work. You can put in anybody's details in here. Once I've submitted my details, that's it. I'm done, and that screen will close. And it takes all of you, we see customers take about an average of 6 to 7 seconds to actually register and put in their details. And that's about it. It really depends on how long their name is and how long it takes them to type in. And then if I go back to my venue here, I've got my contact tracing database. I can see here in my cafe that someone has been registered. From a compliance perspective, you can see that I've got my date and time that they were registered. I've got my name, I've got my email address, and I've got my phone number. From a security perspective, we've encrypted all this data so that you can't view all the details, but you can see a count of how many people. So if you ever get asked, so we've had some of our Sydney venues where the police will come in to make sure that they are compliant with all the rules. They'll come in and go, okay, how many people have you checked in? Please show us your records. You can show them this screen essentially that says this is how we are digitally recording all the people that are coming into our venue. That is essentially it. So I've shown you how to register. I've shown you where to put your QR codes and how to use your QR codes. And I've shown you the customer experience. I'm going to hand it back to Michael now and also ask if there's any questions.
Thanks, Corinne. So that's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy, self-explanatory for the most part. But if you do have anything, we're going to send through an email after this with a whole bunch of details. So you can always reply to that and get some help through us. The other thing that we do is COVID-safe digital menus. If you'd like, today's not about that, but if you'd like more information about that, our website is below, mondoconnects.com/Mondo menu, and you can get all the details about why they're helpful for your venues during COVID. Next, like I said, you'll get a few bits of information: QR code, contact tracing, registration details if you've set it up, a copy of the webinar, and a little bit of background about where Victoria is going from a COVID perspective with regulations, and also other states if you're from other states. I'm just going to check if there's any questions. There is a chat. Is it for restaurants only? I have a charity. No, you can use it for any venue. So I think we've got a number of hundred restaurants and food businesses, but there's probably equally the same number of non-restaurant cafe food businesses on.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. So Sarah, thanks for your question. We originally created it for restaurants, for food and beverage, but because we gave it away for free and it got out there, pretty much every man and his dog uses it now around Australia. And it certainly is not just for restaurants. Because it meets contact tracing requirements and they are generic, you can use it for whatever venue you like. As I was saying, we have councils, we have libraries, we have police, we have beauticians, we have accountants, we have real estate guys who have all registered. Whatever you want to use it for, feel free.
Good question. Any other questions before we wrap up? We're kind of right on the edge of time. Happy to keep going if there's questions. We've got time, but I'm conscious that everybody's busy. Okay, so if there's no other questions, we'll finish the training there. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope you got some value out of that and that you can use Mondo CheckIn in your venue. We'll send an email out with details for follow-up, and if you've got questions, feel free to reply to that and get in contact.
No worries. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.